Dart for Trice. That's Chase, and what a start for Cincinnati. And he has the football. Puts a move on. Bijan Robinson, he's going to have his first NFL touchdown. Gibbs out of the backfield right away. Oh, yeah, there's no question that he was grabbed. They got ridiculous. They got Gibbs one-on-one with Andrew Van Ginkel in space, and that was it.
And this is, again, it's man-to-man. It's one-on-one, and he's underneath. He loses his balance. Block Bowers is one of those guys that has a huge, and this is...
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the week 16 live start sit with the Fatboyz, presented by the Fantasy Holics Podcast Network. I am Bo. As the screen says, that is Brant. Brant, week 16, you and I are going head-to-head in one matchup in probably our biggest league, and then another league you and I co-own. We went all in. We got a huge matchup this week. A lot of good games on the slate. Had a couple good games yesterday. How you feeling on this Sunday morning, sir?
Yeah, I mean, overall, all in all, like you said, we had great games yesterday. We had good games on Thursday. It's been a great start to the week. We do have some crap shoots of games on deck today. Just makes it easier to watch the better games that look better on paper. All in all, it's going to be an interesting week. Like you said, you and me are head to head, but we're being nice and polite because we just went all in another semifinal. So we're bickering back and forth about our league, but then again, hey, is this going to happen? Is this going right? The plus side is the league we co-own. I don't think either one of us really owns anybody in the other league. So it's it's kind of weird that we could scream and holler about one player and still be okay about it.
Right. Yeah, definitely don't get those feelings very often, especially not come down to the playoffs. But yeah, I think outside of CeeDee Lamb, who I do roster in the league I'm going against you in, I can't think of a single other player that I have on that roster. So
that might be why I'll be talking about him later then.
Okay. All right, let's get into this. We got Charlie starting us off this morning. He says, "Good morning, boys. Need some help." He's got quarterback. He's got Drake May, Jared Goff, and Herbert. And at running back, he's got Judkins, Dowdle, and Estime, Hubbard, and Carter. He needs one quarterback and two of his running backs. Brant, how you feeling on all that?
Drake May, Goff, and Herbert. Man, I really like Herbert this week, but I don't know if you can sit May.
Yeah, that'd be tough, I think.
May has, I just talked about this,
the Ravens.
Yeah, so that game could stay competitive, actually, because, Ravens have to win to stay near. I think I stick with May.
I think that's where I'm leaning as well. Yeah, May's quarterback 5 on the season. You got Goff at 10, and Herbert at 11. Herbert does have the best matchup, followed by Goff, the hardest matchup. If you want to call it a middle-of-the-road, Ravens defense is May. But I'm guessing, Charlie, if I had to guess, you've rode May to this point. I think you have to keep the Spurs dug in there.
Yep. As for the running back, I'm going with Judkins. I think he's in for a good week there. And then I'll go with Dowdle. Judkins and Dowdle.
Yeah, I was going to say, honestly, for me, I'm going with those first two. That Judkins matchup against the Bills is actually kind of tasty. The Bills have been given a decent amounts to the running backs, so I don't dislike that one. And Dowdle, I think he's just explosive, so I'm cool with both of those.
Yep. Mark says, need one PPR, Harvey versus the Jags or Hampton at Dallas. Dallas has been sneaky decent against the run. I know they did I think they got torched last week, but prior to that, was it last week that they had a rough time against it?
Dallas is 26th against the run still, and I know a lot of that come from earlier in the season. They are a little bit better, but the Jacksonville Jaguars are number 3 against the running back, so I'm going Hampton.
Yeah, I'll go Hampton on that one as well.
Joe says, can I trust Breeze or do I play Hawkinson, Matt Collins, Kareem Hunt, or Pat Bryant to stack with Bo Nix? It feels like you should be able to trust Breeze against the New Orleans Saints, but
I definitely cannot bench Breeze for any of those. I don't know how much I trust him, but I definitely don't think I can bench him for any of those.
I'm slightly intrigued by the Pat Bryant. I say slight in a very literal term because he's been more involved after the bye week, but it's to the tune of a wide receiver 47, wide receiver 44. So it's still not quite good enough for me to get him in my lineup. Breeze is your best play out of those. He's your home run play out of all of those. I think that's where you have to stay, Joe.
Yep, absolutely. Andreas asks, good morning, gentlemen. BTJ, Addison, or Coker? How bad was my BTJ take last week? I was all over him, and then I got more excited because
Jacoby Myers had the better game, I believe, but he still had 17 points last week. So
I got all excited because ETN finally showed out, and then it looked phenomenal. So I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to the rest. 4 receptions, 71 yards on 7 targets. Addison still had a really good day last week, too. I'm between those two there. Let's look at the matchups here. Minnesota.
Addison only had 2 catches last week for 66 yards. So Addison's probably my odd man out. Coker had a good week last week. But I think I do go BTJ here for myself.
Yeah, I'm going BTJ as well.
Although I expect him still to be the one who gets the Surtain shadow, which does make me nervous. But, man, I just don't know how I feel about Coker or Addison on the flip side.
All right. I still go BTJ.
Jennifer says, Merry Christmas to our favorite Fatboyz. Merry Christmas, Jennifer. Thank you for that. She asks, Carter, Pollard, Estime, Warren, Coker, Juwan Johnson. Pick 1 running back, 2 flexes.
Carter, Pollard, Estime, Warren, Coker. Pick 1 running back. Let's start with that there.
I'm going to go Michael Carter.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to go too. I think I lean Carter on that one. 2 flexes. I think I go. New Orleans has the Jets. I really like that matchup. I just don't know how much I trust them in the backfield. I think I'm going to go Coker, and I think I'm going to go Estime.
I was going to say I like the matchup better for Juwan Johnson, so I do go Coker and Juwan Johnson in my flex.
Okay. I definitely could see myself going Johnson just as a safer pick, but I really like that matchup this week for Estime. Jennifer also comes back with Hawkinson, Estime, or Mason. Pick 1.
It's Hawkinson done really this year. It just feels like such a non-needle mover.
I feel like he got a little hotter in the.
He's not missed any games this year. He's tied in 21 on the season, so that's. Probably had one of his better games of the season last week with a tight end 11 finish.
Yeah, and I think he came later in the game too. Like JJ just realized that I actually have a pretty good tight end. Trying to go back to it real fast.
I'm going Estime.
Yeah, I am too. I think I am too. Minnesota has the Giants. Yeah, I think I go with Estime here. I do like this. I like this matchup a lot, which means I could be kicking myself in the butt by the end of the week, but I am going to go with Estime.
Okay.
Michael says, as advised, I have Michael Wilson, Mike Evans, Drake London. Which of the two do you guys think has the better game? Thank you. I'm taking Wilson out. So it's between Evans and London because MHJ should be back this week, it sounds like. I seriously want to. You guys have Arizona with the second highest points this week. Third, sorry. Oh, never mind. I just can't read my own writing. Not a surprise. And then Evans has. Where's Tampa, Carolina?
They have Carolina.
With just about the same spread. I think Evans has the better game. I do. I think Evans has the better game this week.
So I'm not as quick as you are to rule out Mike Wilson over London, just because if you go back to last season and look at Kirk Cousins and Drake London together, it was never good. He never looked at Drake London the way he did for Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts coming off of a career game last week. I could see that connection with Kirk and Pitts being really appealing again this week. So I'm nervous about London. I do have him in my lineup against you, but I am nervous about London this week. As far as Mike Evans or Mike Wilson, it's not close between those two, in my opinion. Mike Evans came back on 54% of the snaps last week against my Atlanta Falcons, so a game I watched intimately. And he just absolutely was Baker Mayfield's go-to. It was like those two never skipped a beat. It was like he'd been there all season. I can't wait to see what he does with 70% of the snaps if he gets back to that much this week. I think you're talking about maybe potential wide receiver one on the week, wide receiver one for the week numbers if he plays 70% of the snaps. So I'm all in on Mike Evans.
Yeah, and that's a must-win game for them to stay in that division race. So they're definitely going to be going. They're going to throw to the best receiver on the field. Tony says Michael Wilson or Mike Evans here. Mike Evans still. I'm going to go with that one there. I'm ruling Wilson out. I think he'll still be serviceable, but I can't put him over some of the bigger names anymore because of MHJ being back.
Okay. All right. Tyler says pick 1.5 point PPR. He's got Brian Thomas Jr. at the Broncos, Secure at Cleveland, and Kelsey at the Titans.
I got to go.
I will say this for Shakir. It's getting to that point of the season. You brought it up a little bit last week as well, but Shakir's one touchdown catch away from like a $500,000 bonus.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't shock me at all to see him get that today. Cleveland, though, that pass rush is nasty. Bills are susceptible against the pass rush. Josh Allen, he got sacked by the Falcons 7 times in a game. So I think I
really want to lean Kelsey, but with them being out of the playoffs, they're going to see what they have. So I don't think Kelsey plays as many snaps. Like normally, whenever you get a backup, you go to the best target out there, which will be Kelsey. But how much will he really be out there today?
Counterpoint to that, Brand, is he's talking like this may be his last season. So he's going to be playing out there, I think, to get his name in those record books, because I don't think he comes back next season without a guarantee Patrick Mahomes is going to start the year.
I still think I lean BTJ by a little bit here.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. It's an eyelash for me between him and Shakir. So,
yeah. Kyle says start Carter or Marks.
Both of these guys have plus matchups this week, so it's really kind of a pick your poison.
I really think if Marks play and Chubb is out, I think you go Marks. I think what was Marks out for? What did he get hurt? What hurt last week? Let me pull it up. I know
Nick Chubb is expected to play.
Yeah, then I'm going to go Carter.
And Mark's plans to play. Mark's is an ankle. That makes me nervous too.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Carter here.
I'll go Carter. Yep.
Look, I mean, both of them are looking at the chance of being the one because of injuries and everything else. And yeah, DeMarcado is one fumble away from never seeing the field again, and Carter getting 100% of the snaps. So I think I go with Carter.
Okay. Ryan says, good morning, guys. Stroud or Nix in PPR. We'll start there, and then I'll go through the rest of the question because this looks like there's a lot going on. So Stroud or Nix, who are you feeling on that one, Brian?
Why am I passing Houston? Who does Houston have here?
We just talked about it with your last question. They have the Raiders.
The Raiders, that's right. I go Nix. I'm not sure how much Stroud is going to have to throw today. If he gets everybody back in the backfield, you could see them just running all three running backs all over the Raiders.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie to you. This Broncos-Jaguars game has the makings of an AFC championship game, which I don't know if I'd have been on board with that at the beginning of the season, but these two teams are playing amazing football down the stretch. That's going to be a great game. It's always going to be a good atmosphere in Denver. I think that's a game that I think is going to be back and forth. I think Nix has to be involved all game. So I agree with you on that one, right?
I'm going to come back and talk about that game here in a little bit, too, whenever we get a couple minutes of downtime.
He moves on and says, in PPR, which two running backs between Aaron Jones, Ashton Genty, Jalen Warren, and Michael Carter?
I'm going Jones and Carter. I don't trust Genty. The Raiders are the Texans have been getting after it lately with the defensive line, so I don't really trust Genty. Warren, I don't really like the matchup, especially with Gainwell taking more and more work. So I think I go with Jones and Carter.
Yeah, Jalen Warren is kind of touchdown dependent at this point. If he doesn't get in the end zone, his week's not very good because he's not catching all the balls out of the backfield. That's where Gainwell's getting his points. So I agree with you here, Brant. Aaron Jones and Michael Carter. I just cannot start. You know what? Actually, stop. Aaron Jones. I'm going Aaron Jones and I'm going Genty. I'm not getting cute. Genty's catching all kinds of balls out of the backfield. That's where he's relevant. This team's going to be playing from behind. He's caught like 6 balls in 2 games with Geno Smith under center. So I think with the pass rush coming, the way you attack that is quick screens out to your running back. I think Pete Carroll's still a good enough head coach that's probably going to be his game plan today. I'm going to go Genty over Michael Carter.
Okay.
I won't get that cute. As far as it says, which 2 wide receivers between Evans, Ibuka, or DK Metcalf? And then he finishes with a defense special teams question. So.
Defense, I'm going Tampa Bay. They're one of my favorite streams this week. I know the Chargers do have Dallas, but I am going to go with Tampa Bay on that one. And then for receivers, I'm going DK Metcalf and Mike Evans.
Yeah, I agree. The Bills are giving up, or excuse me, the Lions are giving up over 38 fantasy points a game to the wide receiver position. If you look at Pittsburgh, there's really only one who's worth a darn, and that's DK Metcalf. Had to catch myself there. That about slipped out. So yeah, I think DK Metcalf's a must start, and I'm all over Mike Evans as he's come back. Ibuka, if you take out his 2 or 3 games of the season, he's been very pedestrian. So I just think Mike Evans being back, he's the clear alpha in that offense. So I do that, go with that. And as far as the defense question, I'm not playing anybody against the Cowboys. They have too big of a chance to put points up on the board. And they can do it very quickly. So I will go with Tampa Bay as well on that one. Oh, Mike, that was him saying – that was him in reference to his running back question earlier.
Yep. Matthew says, Michael Carter, Ibuka, or limited Marv, PPR, leaning Carter. You guys are all healthy in the secondary, right?
Yeah, what's that mean?
I think I lean Michael Carter as well here. No no one really barking up his tree. I mean, I know DeMarcado's back there, but I still think Carter gets the bulk of the work. Ibuka scares me with all three of them being healthy finally, and then plus you still have K. Dotton over the middle. So Ibuka does scare me where he could be limited, and I think Arizona leans on the run a little bit more today.
I'm going to say I think A.J. Terrell probably stays on one side of the field with how good Michael Wilson's been lately and the emergence of Marvin Harrison. So I'm not necessarily scared of Marvin Harrison or scared of playing him. But when you talk about being limited, we have seen Marvin Harrison in the past ghost us in important games for fantasy purposes. So I'm going to go Michael Carter as well. I just think when you look at Emeka Ibuka, he's third at best in the pecking order, probably fourth when you throw in Bucky Irving being back. So that does scare me a little bit when it comes to the fantasy, semis starting him. So I will go Michael Carter, who I do think gets the Lions share the workload today.
Ryan says, 2 questions, gentlemen, PPR. Need 2, JMO, Evans, Judkins. I'll start right there. You need 2. I'm going with JMO and Judkins.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Evans and Judkins. I don't know where my head was. Maybe I was already looking at the next question on board. I'm going Evans and Judkins. Let me retrace my step. I'm going Evans and Judkins. Maybe I was looking a little further down. But yeah, Evans and Judkins.
I'm going to go recency bias here. I'm going JMO and Evans. I'm not a JMO guy, but it's been hard to ignore what the success he's been putting up recently. So I'm going to go with JMO and I'm going to go with Evans. And as far as the quarterback goes,
I'm going Herbert.
Me too. Yeah, me too. Which pretty well answers the next question. Sergeant Halo says, fantasy semis start Herbert or Purdy. I'm going Herbert.
I'm going Herbert as well. Michael says, London or BTJ? London practiced pretty much all week, right? Even in limited capacity. So I think I actually go, Kirk Cousins is throwing the ball. You talked about that earlier where he doesn't look as much for London. I think I lean BTJ just by a hair, just because of Kirk Cousins. If it was Michael Penix under center, I'd still be leaning all over London, but I think I have to lean BTJ just a little bit.
Yeah, BTJ is going to see Patrick Surtain. You know who's not going to see Patrick Surtain at all today is Drake London. I'm going Drake London, Brant.
Okay.
Adam comes at us with Ibuka, Godwin, Shakir. Pick 1.5 point PPR.
Let's see something here.
I really want to go with Godwin here, Brant.
That's where I'm leaning. I'm checking something else real fast before I completely lean.
Lord. Ibuka since week 9 by 13, 9, 8, 8, 9, 7 targets each game. I didn't realize he was still getting targeted that high.
They haven't been as.
No, Baker's not been what he once was.
Yeah, I think I lean Godwin.
That's really where I'm at. I'm leaning Godwin just ever so slightly.
Zach says, morning, fellas. Lamar versus New England or Burrow versus Miami? We'll start there. I'm going to go with Burrow because last week I benched Hurts in favor of Burrow, and it wasn't good. So this week I benched Burrow in favor of Hurts in our league, and Burrow's probably going to do a little better than Hurts. So I'll go with Burrow on this one.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning Burrow as well. Miami's defense isn't very good, and the Patriots' defense is good. Now, I do think Lamar has his best game of the season. I'm calling for that. Prime time, Ravens have to win, pretty much win out to secure playoffs. So I think you see prime time Lamar Jackson show up and show out. He tweeted this week how he's finally feeling healthy, 100%. I want to see him put his money where his mouth is. I do like Lamar this week, but I'm going to go Burrow in this one.
Second part is also need one PPR Sutton versus Jacksonville, Harvey versus Jacksonville, London versus Arizona, or Hampton versus Dallas. Vidal was still very serviceable last week.
How about the fact that Cortland Sutton's coming off of back-to-back games with 10 targets?
Vidal still saw 64. Yeah, I think I'm going to lean Sutton on this one as well.
I'm going to say this. London's really hard for me to advocate to sit because before he got injured and missed 5 weeks, he was a top 5 wide receiver on the season. It is Kirk Cousins. I don't expect him to get the amount of love that he was getting. However, that being said, Michael Pitts was running the Drake London routes last week. So if London slots back into that, it could be all bets off. So I'm going to go Sutton with the caveat that I think London's right there with him, but I'm going to go Sutton just because he's Bo Nix's guy. It's a primetime playoff atmospheric game for those Jacksonville Jaguars versus Denver Broncos. I'm leaning Sutton slightly over London. It's very close for me.
Okay.
Chris says Marvin Harrison Jr. or Quentin Johnston.
We'll go Marvin Harrison Jr. on this one.
Maserati Marv. Now, I will say this. Quentin Johnston, I think, is a very high ceiling, very, very, very low floor. He could get 0, but I think he could go for 30 against this Dallas Cowboys defense. I'm actually in a league that I'm not projected to win in the semifinals. I slotted him in just because I need that ceiling home run type play. So if you're in the same boat I am, I can see doing that for Quentin Johnston, but I think I have to lean Marvin Harrison Jr. In a vacuum.
Omar says Hampton or Higgins. I'm assuming that's T. Higgins, and I'm starting T. Higgins. He's active. He's cleared it. Looks like he's playing. That offense runs so smooth when they're both out there, so I'm going to go with Higgins.
Yeah, I probably agree with Higgins on that one. Christopher says, hello, guys. Happy semifinals. 3 small questions. Which one's better between Brissett or Lamar? Then he asks McConkey or Myers, and then he's got a tight end question down there at standard.
I think I go with Lamar over Brissett. I'm going McConkey over Myers. I know Myers has had great games, but I like this matchup for McConkey. And then Warren or Gaston in standard. I think I go Warren. I think he was targeted enough. I think Rivers looked at him enough in that game. I think I go with Warren. It is still Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, I agree with you on the first two. I'm at Lamar and McConkey. I just don't think I liked what we saw out of Tyler Warren last week. Yeah, he had 4 points last week, 6 targets, 3 receptions. He's only been over 3 receptions 1 time since the bye week, and that was the first week out of the bye.
Yeah, you ain't wrong.
And those are all plus matchups as well.
Yeah, I'm going back and I'm looking at. I know I watched that game last week, and it was disgusting to watch, seeing Rivers and Warren. So I'm actually I think I'm going to go with Gatson. It is standard. He has a better opportunity to find the end zone, so I am going to go with Gatson. PPR, I think maybe I lean a little bit more Warren just because I think they spread the ball out more for the Chargers. But, yeah, standard, I'm going to go with Gatson. I think that's a better chance to find the end zone.
Yeah, I will say, oddly enough, and I think a big part of this is because of Fred Warner being out, the 49ers are 22nd against the tight end, whereas the 49ers are 22nd against the tight end, whereas the Cowboys are 15th. So the slight better matchup is Tyler Warren, but Not when Phillip Rivers is under center. I just can't advocate that to anybody.
Christian says, good morning. Pick 2, Pickens, Godwin, or Harrison if healthy. I want to say Pickens for my first one, but
how do you advocate for Pickens when it looks like he's quit on his team? Yeah, coming off of single-digit points back-to-back weeks here for Pickens. And the Chargers are number 2 against the wide receiver. I'm going Harrison and Godwin.
If Harrison's healthy, I'll go Harrison and Godwin. I didn't realize how bad Pickens really has been the last 2 weeks.
I mean, you've seen his targets drop off. 2 weeks ago, he had 9 targets. He just didn't catch any of them. His effort wasn't there. Last week, it dropped down to 6 targets. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Dak fade him even more and maybe get more Ferguson involved. I just think he's quit on his team and he's pouting.
Yeah, he probably is pouting now, especially them being eliminated from the playoffs now. So he's probably pouting even more this week, which means you'll get the younger guys involved. So yeah, let's go with Godwin and Harrison.
David says, need 2, Ibuka, Troy Franklin, Kayshon Boutte, or Jaden Higgins, 1 point PPR.
Do we go Boutte and Franklin here? Ibuka's still seeing a lot of targets. If even half of those are a little over half, get a little more. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm going Franklin. I'm going Franklin and Ibuka. For Troy Franklin, honestly, Brant, you and I own him. We didn't even consider putting him in our co-owned league this week. He's wide receiver 28 on the season. I mean, he just had two really bad games out of the bye and then smoked it last week. So wide receiver 28 on the season. I mean, it's impressive.
Let's see where Boutte's been. Receiver 45. Didn't do anything last week. Yeah, I'm going to go with Franklin and Ibuka here.
Okay.
CKAC Sports says Sutton, Flowers, McMillan, start 2, half PPR. I think I go Sutton. And I think I go Flowers. Well, hang on.
This is tough.
I'm assuming that's Tet. I was leaning, since we've been talking about the Bucks all day, I was leaning Jalen, but I'm assuming that's Tet McMillan.
I mean, the last 2 weeks, Zay Flowers came out. He did us all dirty in week 13 against the Cincinnati Bengals in a matchup. We all thought he was going to have a great week. He went negative. Since then, he came back with a wide receiver 8 finish. Last week, wide receiver 20. 16 targets his last 2 games. Honestly, if you go back his last 3 games, we're at 23 targets over 3 games. So he's averaging a little over 7 a game. He's definitely Lamar's guy, prime time. I don't think I can go against Zay Flowers right now. And I know I've not been the hugest Zay Flowers supporter this year, but I think Zay Flowers has got to be in your lineup at this point.
I'm between Tet and Sutton here. As I'm agreeing with Flowers here. Must win. You're gonna look for him. He's the guy that can make the explosive plays. So yeah, I'm gonna stay Flowers and
honestly, Brant, I'm gonna say this too. Maybe this will make your decision. Carolina Panthers last week against the New Orleans Saints win that game, and they're in sole possession of first place in the NFC South. They ended up losing, as we all know, and McMillan only had 4 targets in that contest, Brant. So crunch time, Bryce Young's not looking for him.
No, and they turned around and they beat the Rams, right? A couple right before their bye, and he only had 2 targets in that game.
So I'm going Sutton and Flowers, just like you are. And honestly, God, sitting Tet McMillan is it's hard to ignore recency bias, though. With 2 games in a row with over 10 targets or more for Sutton, Flowers doing what he's done the last 2 weeks, it's impossible to ignore those metrics. McMillan's last 2 games haven't been great. I think that's where you have to go.
Okay, absolutely.
Zach says pick one in PPR, George Pickens versus LA or Tet versus Tampa, or Woody Marks versus Las Vegas.
I'm going to go with Woody here. I think especially if Chubb's out, I'll go Woody. Pickens, like you said, it looks like he's quit on his team and definitely could be quitting even more this week. And just looking at Tet, he hasn't done much in the last 2 weeks, and that's a win and a loss. So you've seen it at both situations. So I think I lean with Marks here.
Yeah, I think Woody's the safest play out of these 3. I think Pickens and Tet both have way higher ceilings than Woody Marks, but both of those guys' floors feel like they're kind of dropping out from underneath of them the last couple of weeks. Where you talk about Pickens and he's being criticized in the media again for, seemingly giving up on his team. Ted's kind of been a ghost the last 2 weeks in games that have mattered for the Carolina Panthers. So, yeah, as much as I'm not a Woody Marks guy, Brant, I think you're talking safety play there. You got to go Woody Marks. And, man, ultimately sometimes in playoffs, that's what you got to do is pick your safest play. I mean –
Yep. Jennifer asked, would you pick up Tet for Pickens and best ball guillotine? I think I keep Pickens because Pickens still has, in my mind, one of the highest ceilings for any wide receivers. I mean, he could go off. So I think I keep Pickens.
Yeah, I agree. I also like the quarterback play for George Pickens significantly better than that of I like Bryce Young. I'm a Bryce Young believer still, but I don't think he's in the same stratosphere as Dak Prescott when it comes to getting your fantasy numbers for your wide receivers. It's just not on the same planet in my mind. So I'm going to roll with Pickens for that one as well.
Okay.
All right, Brant, this is about the time of the show every week where we go ahead and hit into these underdog plays of the week. I do want to toot. I did hit all 5 of my legs again last week. So, Brant, you've been on a heater as of recent. Not yesterday, but your luck changes today. So we'll talk about these on the other side of the promo. All right, Brant, walk me through your underdog plays this week. Tell me what you're thinking.
I'm probably going to regret this, but I hadn't put mine fully in. I had everything in, so I did just take out a leg after we've talked about Pickens so bad and what he has done. I didn't realize it had been that bad. So I actually did just pull him out, and I just changed that for A-Chain to go higher than 27.5 receiving yards. I think Ewers looks for that. I mean, let's be honest, A-Chain could take one screen pass for 27.5 receiving yards. So I do like A-Chain to get his receiving yards. I do like A-Chain's also total yards over are higher than, but I don't know what the line is, but I think that's going to be the lean on guy this week. I'm going to take Jacoby Brissett higher than 255.5 pass yards. I think they're going to have to throw it a little bit. I do like Carter getting some work out of the backfield, but I do think that he'll go higher than that. I like Diggs to go higher than 3.5 receptions. I think that's the go-to guy. New England's looking to try to move into that first place spot, get that round bye, so they're really going to be playing to win. And I think Baltimore's going to keep it competitive because they're doing everything they can in order to stay in the playoff hunt. And then I got Gibbs to go higher than 17.5 yards on his longest rush. I think they will give him the ball, and Gibbs is bound for a breakout game this week. You talked about it earlier this week with me where he's gone, kind of no touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 40-point games here. I think that he's going to get used and abused tonight. And then I got Gardner Minshew to go higher than 0.5 interception. He threw 10 passes last week. I love Minshew, and he threw an interception in those 10 passes. So I expect him to throw another one, even with them playing Not the greatest of defenses in Tennessee, but I still think that he will throw an interception.
All right. I've got to start mine off. I've got Justin Herbert higher than 242.5 passing yards. He's done that 5 times this season. I don't know if he's ever had a matchup as intriguing as the Dallas Cowboys secondary. Love that for Herbo. I've got Judkins higher than 17.5 rushing attempts this week. I think the recipe for success against the Buffalo Bills is running the ball. Judkins has hit that number 6 times so far this season. Chase Brown higher than 76.5 rushing and receiving yards. Again, he's become one of those focal points for this Bengals offense. And again, 7 times this season, he's already been over those numbers. So again, I think this is a pretty easy get for Chase Brown. Dalton Schultz higher than 40.5 receiving yards. Again, definitely been one of those guys down the stretch for the Texans. Definitely been one of the go-to guys outside of Nico Collins for CJ Stroud 7 times. Again, he's hit that this season. And here's my lowest one of the week. Lamar Jackson higher than 212.5 passing yards. I think the stars shine brightest for Lamar when it's prime time. He's got to step up. This Ravens team's a must win. He's come out. He said he's healthy. It's got to happen. He's only done this 4 times, but he's missed some games. So I think Lamar Jackson rounds it out for me on Sunday Night Football against the Patriots with 212 passing yards. So there you go, Brant. That's where I'm at this week.
What was Chase Brown's total yards you had?
76.5.
Okay. I like to write them down and keep track. Congratulate you as each one of your legs hit, because I've been on a heater and on one platform and the other one has not been the greatest for me. I thought I had a really good one on basketball the other night and it burned me on Underdog.
All right, we got some questions. We'll get into our touchdown scorers here in a little bit. Let's get through some of these questions. Scott comes at us, says, "Good morning, guys. Full point PPR. He's starting Pitts at tight end, sitting Thanon, wide receiver London, and sitting Justin Jefferson. Ooh. Running back Chase Brown and A-Chain, and then he's flexing Travis Etienne. So he's sitting JJ and Dowdle. What do you think?" He says, "Is that the right call?"
Yes. It's so hard, but yes. I can't believe yes. But how do you start Justin Jefferson? How? I know namesake, and he's got that high ceiling when he does get going, but
he's still wide receiver 27 on the season. It's bad because he's a first round wide receiver. We take him to be a top 10 pick. Or top 10 at his position. He's not there. That's why it's frustrating. He's coming off 8 targets against Dallas. He's got a plus matchup again this week. The targets are going to be there. If he gets 4 or 5 of them that are catchable balls, this is a 100-yard game for him. And honestly, Brant, you're not going to like me for this, but I'm sitting ETN in favor of him. ETN's going against the number 1 run defense in football this week. Number one for a reason. And admittedly so, ETN's been amazing down the stretch. You're talking about, last week coming off of what, RB3 or 4 finish? Yeah, RB1 on the week last week, and he's still only RB11 on the season. I mean, ETN he's hit or miss. That's why he's RB11. I'm going Jefferson over ETN against the number 1 run defense. If ETN plays anybody other than the Denver Broncos this week, I don't do that. But I'm against the Broncos, that is enough to scare me.
Okay. I'm still keeping ETN in. All right. Woody or Mark? Am I missing something here? Lamar or Burrow?
No, I'm thinking that's a typo there. I'm going down to look in the comments to see if he fixed that. He did not. So just we'll take the easy one on that one, Brent. We'll go Woody.
Yeah, we'll go Woody. And I go Burrow over Lamar.
Yeah, we both took Lamar, or took Burrow on that one earlier this week. Or earlier this show, so I will stick with that answer. Tony says Flowers, McConkey, Diggs, Ted McMillan, Michael Wilson, ETN, Stevenson need 2 and a flex. 2 wide receivers and a flex in PPR.
All right, I go McConkey and Diggs for my 2 wide receivers. And I think I put ETN in my flex.
I'm going to go with the first three names on your list there, Tony. I'm going with Zay Flowers again. Recency bias. I can't sit him. This is a Ladd McConkey hype game, I think, against Dallas, and I think Diggs I think you're about right on the money, Brand. I think he's 3 or 4 receptions away from a bonus this week, so I like him to have a big game. Again, I get wanting to play ETN after what he's done the last couple of weeks, but I just can't say that success is going to be duplicated against the number 1 run defense. I can't do it.
Okay. Tony says New England or Chargers defense. I go New England here. Chargers got Dallas. I got to go with New England here.
Man, the Ravens feel like they can light the scoreboard up too. Yeah, I'm going to go New England, I think, in the slightest of leans there. Adam says my wide receiver 2, Zay Flowers versus New England or Cortland Sutton versus Jacksonville.
I think you go Zay Flowers here.
I can't sit Sutton with his back-to-back 10 target games. Can't do it. I got to go Cortland Sutton.
Okay. Matt says Hall or Tracy, Evans or Metcalf. I think I go Hall. And I think I lean Evans just by the slightest bit. I like Metcalf's matchup this week.
Yeah, I go Hall and I go Evans. Dan says Michael Carter, Jalen Warren, and then Downs or Slayton. I go Michael Carter and I go Downs. Downs is one of the highest running out of the slot this season, and San Francisco is among the very bottom against slot wide receivers. So I actually do go Josh Downs in that one.
Okay. I'll go Downs and Carter as well.
So I assume you're not changing your answer for this one?
Nope.
Okay. Me too.
Nope. Jennifer said Sutton or J-Mo. I'm going with J-Mo here. No. We've discussed it.
I'm going Sutton. You do what you want. I'm going Sutton.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Sutton as well.
Ryan says, what's up, fellas? Pick 2, Drake London, George Pickens, Mike Evans. I go London, and I go Evans.
London and Evans as well. Sorry about that, guys.
This is an interesting one because Ryan's our guy. We know Ryan personally. Excuse me. Ryan hit us up earlier in the week, and you were firmly on the George Pickens side of this over Mike Evans. So you swayed because of how bad Pickens has been the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I hadn't noted the 2 leagues I have Pickens in. I missed the playoffs, or I got knocked out real early in that first round. So I didn't realize how bad he had actually been. So yeah, I definitely, after going back and looking, yeah, it's definitely been pretty ugly the last 2 weeks. So yeah, I definitely am swaying off of Pickens. I've changed one of my underdog plays. I definitely swayed really hard off of him.
Okay. This is Jennifer following up to that Sutton or J-Mo. She says I can take out Rico or ETN for either one of those.
Man, J-Mo's been so good. ETN's been so good, but he does play the Broncos. I think I go Sutton and ETN on that. I'm firmly on ETN having a pretty decent game with no Tootin. I'm going back, and I mean that's the Raiders. I don't count that game for anybody.
The Broncos have given up 4 running back top 10 performances all season. One of them being Jonathan Taylor early in the season. One of them being Omarion Hampton week 3. Week 7, they did let Cam Scatterbo do it. And then last week, they let Josh Jacobs do it. Outside of that, nobody scored over 20 fantasy points a game this season against them. But I'm not the biggest JMO guy either. So, I mean, I'm okay either way on that one. But number one running back defense for a reason, guys. That's all I got to say. All right, man, let's go through these touchdown scores real quick because we're about 10 minutes away from these injury news, and I want to make sure we have time for that in case there's any big ones that we got to
cover. My TD scores, I got Jamar Chase, I got Gibbs, I got James Cook, and I got CeeDee Lamb to find the end zone this week. I did not go cute. I went pretty safe in my mind, and I think all four of these guys have a good path to find it.
Okay. All right. I'll start with the one that we have overlapping. I also have Jahmyr Gibbs to find the end zone again. The trend, it's a meaningless trend. It means nothing. There's no merit, no nothing to it. But for the last 9 weeks, it's kind of been every other week for Jahmyr Gibbs. Last week was a bum week for Jahmyr Gibbs. This week shouldn't be. So I've got Jahmyr Gibbs finding the end zone. Kind of to piggyback off my underdog plays, I've got Chase Brown to find the end zone. If he gets over 76.5 total all-purpose yards today, he should find the end zone in doing that. I just think the matchup's too good for the Bengals this week. I've got Ladd McConkey in a game that I think, again, it's the number 2 scoring contest on the week against the Cowboys. That secondary is not great. He's got a top 10 quarterback throwing the ball. This just feels like a Ladd McConkey game. And then Mike Evans did everything last week against my Falcons except for find the end zone. I think he does that this week against the Panthers. I think the Buccaneers end up winning the NFC South again this year. I think they do it this week. In a clobber fest, I think they end up. I think the Buccaneers end up putting over 30 points up against the Panthers today. I think Mike Evans has a monster week.
T. Higgins, it just got the update. He has officially cleared concussion protocol and will be active today.
Okay. All right. Scott says, can we trust London? They have nothing to play for. I'm surprised he is coming back.
My guess is he's coming back. There's some incentives, some money bonus. So, yeah, I do think I trust him. I'm sure there's something in his contract that he's playing for.
He came back because he wants to beat Brant Walker in our league of record.
Just so you know, if he does that, it might also mean we get beat in the other league.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. But anyway, listen, as a Falcons fan, I'm absolutely baffled that they're bringing Drake London back because there's nothing to play for. The one thing this team has to play for, and I really hope it doesn't work out for them. Terry Fontenot, our general manager, and Raheem Morris, our head coach, they both got to get some wins down this stretch here. They got to get some wins in order for this team to not have turnovers in the head coaching position and the general manager position. So you're going to leave no stone unturned if you're those guys. So I'm sure London coming back and playing is as much London's decision as it is the front office and the coaching staff. So, yeah, I think London's going to have a very good game. I don't know if I trust him to be a top 10 wide receiver this week. But I think he has a serviceable game. It'll be interesting to see how much punishment they allow him to take in this game, but I expect a full workload for him.
Patrick says, if you have the space and availability to add a player next week, anyone you're eyeing for week 17? Looking at some of our waiver wires. Can't trust this league. There's so many pieces on that league. Everyone must have just quit early.
Yeah, I'll say it right now. Olamide Zacchaeus for the Bears. I mean, every time I think there's going to be, a DJ Moore breakout or Romo Dunze, this guy just doesn't go away. Granted, Caleb Williams didn't look great last week, but Zacchaeus still had 5 targets, 2 receptions. So it wasn't great, but when you talk about availability in this time of the year, guys that are available, I think he's probably tippy tops.
Yeah, I definitely am agreeant. Malik Willis is a pickup. I know that you'd have to use a waiver claim, but if Love does miss in dual QB leagues, that's definitely a pickup.
Gunnar Helm's the other one for me. I love Gunnar Helm.
Yeah, definitely been good. I was going to say Darren Waller, but he's really not available in any of my leagues. But with the backup QB starting this week and seeing what you have, Waller may be a go-to guy. Bill says Carter or Gainwell. I'm going. I like Gainwell in this matchup, but I think I go Carter.
Yeah, I feel like this one's a catch-22 because Gainwell is going to have so much work pass catching, whereas Carter gets a lot of groundwork. I think just based on the fact that Warren does exist and they are kind of deadlocked in a 50-50 timeshare, depending on each week, that does make me lean Michael Carter because I don't expect that much from Mario DiMarcado. So I will go Michael Carter by the slightest of margins on that one, Brant.
Okay.
Pop says, happy holidays, Bo. Hope you and your family have a great one. You and yours as well, except for I hope your son has a horrible week this week in one particular league. Outside of that, I hope he has a great one too.
Matt says Harvey, Carter, or Waddle. I think I start Waddle. I think Quinn looks for his – I think he's going to look for the tight end, but I think he's going to look for his best weapon out there. So I think I go Waddle. Maybe he shows, hey, look at this connection me and Waddle have out here. Maybe he tries to solidify himself a starting job next year. So, yeah, I think I go with Waddle. They play Cincy, so they're going to have to throw to keep up. Yeah.
I'm going to go Michael Carter, Brant. I can't.
Can't vouch to start somebody with Quinn starting at QB?
Can't do it.
Not named A-Chain?
Can't do it, yeah.
Ryan says, last one, Warren or Fannin? Thanks for the help. I'm going Fannin on this one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going Fannin.
Yeah.
Turtle Gets Bodies says, start one wide receiver and one flex. Adonai Mitchell, Drake London, Darren Waller, Tony Pollard.
Oh, why do I feel like I think London's my wide receiver. How has Mitchell been?
Good. Very good.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mitchell as my flex. I can't vouch to start Waller. I don't know why I can't. I just can't do it.
Yeah, Mitchell, he's kind of been a disappearing act, but 2 weeks ago against my Atlanta Falcons, he was wide receiver 6. Miami Dolphins, wide receiver 72, and then against the Jaguars, wide receiver 14. So he's kind of been up and down, but I think I'm going to go with Mitchell against the New Orleans Saints this week.
Okay. Scott says Broncos or Saints.
I'm going to go Saints defense.
I'm going Saints defense as well.
Broncos or Jaguars offense is just better. They have a better opportunity to put points up on the board. Jets offense, Brady Cook, as much as I'm rooting for him because he's from Missouri and I'm a Mizzou Tiger fan, it's not going to yield a lot of points. It's just not. Turtles comes back at us with start one, Hollywood Brown, Juwan Johnson, or Brian Thomas Jr.
I got Brian Thomas Jr. here. I know he's going to see Surtain, but I think I have to go with Brian Thomas. I have no idea how that Chiefs game's going to look.
Well, I can tell you that Hollywood Brown is slated to be the wide receiver 1 in that context. And I really, really, really want to advocate for Hollywood Brown. I think there's a chance he could be really good today, but there's a chance that Chiefs offense could be really bad. God, honestly, Brian Thomas, if these guys were all playing middle of the field rosters or defenses, I think Brian Thomas, but he's got the worst matchup out of these three by a long shot. So I'm gonna say I think Juwan Johnson's the safest play here. I think Hollywood Brown has a high ceiling, and I think Brian Thomas is the one I leave out. Honestly, Brian Thomas should see a lot of Patrick Surtain today, and that scares me. And it should scare any self-respecting fantasy, minded player. But I'm gonna go Juwan Johnson on that one. And I really am. And I don't know if that's the right idea. Maybe I'm overly scared of Surtain, but I am scared of Surtain.
Okay. Lindell says full point PPR. Brissett, Bijan, Bucky, Pickens, Evans, Bowers, Dowdle, Harrison, Dicker, Saints, D benches, Knicks, Marks, Fannin, Jags. Any changes? Okay. All right. So we got Brissett or Knicks.
Oh my gosh.
I think I go Knicks.
Honestly, Brant, maybe you won't like this either. I go Fannin over Bowers, and I think I go Woody Marks over Marvin Harrison. Quarterback, I'm okay. Quarterback, I think I do prefer Knicks, but I could be persuaded by Brissett. Bowers has just not been as good this year as advertised, and a lot of that has to do with quarterback play. The quarterback play wasn't great last year either, but it's just scheme different this year. And against that Texans defense, I'm not sure how many times Geno's going to get the ball out of his hand. I'm terribly scared of him.
Yeah,
actually, I think I'm changing my mind. I think I'm benching Pickens, putting Harrison in my wide receiver spot, and Marks in my flex. Now that I'm looking at this a little deeper, I just don't trust Pickens, but I really do think I could be persuaded to go Fannin over Bowers.
I could be persuaded that too, but it's so hard to sit Bowers when he has that higher upside, one of the highest upsides for tight ends. I know that they are playing Houston, and that is going to be tough for them. But yeah, I definitely could. I put Harrison in my wide receiver, and I put Marks in my flex. Knicks over Brissett in my mind. But yeah, the rest I think is pretty good.
What if I tell you Harold Fannin's had 25 targets in his last 2 games, and you got to go back 4+ weeks to get that for Bowers? Does that change it for you if I tell you that? 25 targets, 14 targets last week for Fannin. How do you sit that? I mean, granted, I know it's Shadur Sanders throwing it, but we're talking about Geno Smith and Kenny Pickett throwing it to Brock Bowers. Neither one of them's getting good targets, so I got to go with the one that's getting the most opportunity, and that's Fannin. Really, I mean, Bowers is still tied in 7 on the season. I get it, but this is not Brock Bowers of last year. I have to go Fannin.
Okay. I can't vouch to sit Bowers. He's
tight end 7. Fannon's tight end 8, and Fannon's doing tight end 8 work with Njoku. There's no competition in the tight end market for Bowers.
Njoku's questionable again this week.
So again, makes me even lean harder for Fannin. I can't do it.
Okay,
I can't do it. The Fatboyz are completely divided on that tight end. Scott says he fell for Colby Parkinson. A lot of us did, Scott. A lot of people did.
I did too.
It was the tight end position as a whole. It wasn't just Colby. So we all did. Who'd have thought Terrence Ferguson was going to finally have his coming out party?
And Davis Allen as well, having 4 receptions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mike says need a flex PPR. Franklin, Likely, Abuka, Mason, Jordan, Davis. His starters are Harvey, Estime, Evans, St. Brown, McConkey. He has, Juju? Or no, is it Juju, Downs, and Naylor are options on the waivers?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I get? McConkey, Brown, Evans. Nope. I don't think I change it because you got to have Harvey and Estime in as your running backs would be my guess. I was trying to find a way to get Franklin in, but I think you can't bench any of those 3, McConkey, St. Brown, or Evans this week, and which means you're forced to put Harvey and Estime into your running back. So, yeah, I don't think I make any changes.
I don't either. I want to find a way to get Franklin in, but you can't do it. So I think you're where you need to be, Mike. I will let you catch his follow-up question.
Chiefs, Niners, Bengals, Falcons, Bucks for defense.
It's hard to not pick the Chiefs. Their defense is pretty healthy, and they're going against a woeful offense. Bengals defense sucks out loud, but they get Quinn Ewers. That's intriguing as well. But I think, Niners. Yeah, Niners. Yeah, I did
Niners
see
get
that.
Niners get the 97-year-old Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, that's intriguing as well. So
I think I go. I think I actually go Niners. I think I go Niners by a little bit because now they've got a little more film on how bad or how Rivers is throwing and how quick he's getting it out. So I think they'll be in better
counterpoint to that. Rivers has another week back in the NFL.
Yeah,
I'm going. Cam Ward's had a lot of weeks in the NFL and still hasn't gotten it figured out. I'm going Chiefs. That's one of the best defenses in football. Let's not forget that. Turtle comes back at us with pick one: ETN, Gainwell, or Aaron Jones. I'm going to go Aaron Jones on this one.
I'll go. I'm still leaning ETN. I'm staying on the ETN.
Mike says he's sticking with Bowers. So there you go, Brant.
Yep. Scott says, Bo says, sit ETN to play Jefferson. Brant says, play Jefferson, sit ETN. I'm playing London.
He's got it backwards. You said sit Jefferson for ETN, so he's going London. Okay, that makes sense. Hey, usually when the Fatboyz are divided, it's best to just stay away from us. I get it.
Just hit that middle ground. Turtle says Henderson or Rico. I go Henderson. That's league winner right there.
Yeah, I go Henderson on that one. Michelle says ETN, Henderson, Taylor, or Chase Brown. Only one. Oh, my Lord. Which Taylor is that? Is that Jonathan Taylor? Because if it's Jonathan, I'd have to play him.
I've been all over ETN all day, and now he's the first one I'm kicking out if that is JT on this one here. I think if it's JT, you got to go Jonathan Taylor. If it's not, I think I go Henderson.
If it's Jonathan Taylor, I go Jonathan Taylor. If it's not Jonathan Taylor, I go Chase Brown.
Okay.
Louse says Mark or Marvin Harrison for flex.
Assuming that's Marks.
Yeah, I go Woody Marks. I don't love Woody Marks, but I go Woody Marks.
Could be Mark Andrews, but I'm assuming it's Woody Marks, so I'm going to go with Woody Marks. Knight says ETN or Michael Wilson. I'm going ETN.
This might be the first one where you get me to pick two. It's really hard to fade Michael Wilson, but he was doing all of that without Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison has to be the number one in my opinion, and there is still Trey McBride lurking. So I'll go ETN. Louse says Saints D or Chiefs. I think you're okay either one or playing either one of these. But when you talk about opponents, my heart wants me to root for Brady Cook, but I also know he's not an NFL caliber quarterback. I'm going with the Saints defense.
I'm going Saints defense. That's where I'm streaming in a few leagues, so I'm going with Saints.
Michelle does come back and say it is Jonathan Taylor. So,
okay, yep, it's JT then. Turtle comes back, says one RB and then one flex. ETN, Harvey, Abuka, or Wandale. It's hard to sit Wandale.
I'll go ETN and Wandale.
I think I'm going ETN and Wandale as well.
And that's me telling you I still don't like the matchup for Harvey or ETN this week. I just ETN's going against the number one run defense. Harvey's going against the number three. And I'm going to go with the one that's had a better season. So don't love either one of those this week. But Brant does. So there you go. Brant does. He said, okay, that's follow up to what he said earlier about Wilson or Woody Marks.
Mm-hmm. Scott says this game Jefferson does something. They were trying hard to get him catches last week, dropped one in the end zone. Giants aren't great against wide receivers, but probably trying for incentives. I don't trust JJ. I do think that this is a chance that he does figure it back out, but I don't trust him. I didn't trust him in college. I didn't trust him being drafted. I don't trust him to throw the ball down the field, even when you do have Jefferson.
I'm not as out on JJ as Brant is. When you're talking about JJ McCarthy, he's coming off of 2 games in a row as a top 10 quarterback for fantasy, quarterback 10, quarterback 7 in back-to-back weeks. And these are both plus matchups, and he gets another one this week against the New York Giants. I think I'm starting to believe that JJ can tread water. I don't think he's ever going to be a top fantasy asset until he starts getting Justin Jefferson the ball. And here I am saying that after he's been a top 10 quarterback the last 2 weeks without being able to do that. So the sky's the limit for JJ or number 9, whatever you want to call him, if he does get the ball into Jetta's hands. But I'm not as out on McCarthy as Brant is. And I think because of that, I'm still very much in on Jefferson.
Okay.
All right, Brent, we haven't got a chance to do this yet. Let's talk about some injury stuff. We did have Keon Coleman healthy scratch again this week, probably more off the field stuff. No Quinnen Williams for the Cowboys, so that will be big for Omarion Hampton in the run department. Quentin Johnston, who was questionable, is playing. No Minkah Fitzpatrick for the Dolphins against the Bengals. I'm not seeing anything else crazy here, Brant.
Is this a typo? Oh, never mind. Should have read the date.
Last year.
Yes.
That's happened to me a couple of times. I always check the date in the upper right-hand corner before I say anything.
I said DK Metcalf, and I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Big in that game. The Bills are missing 2 starting or rotation pieces on their defensive line, and Jordan Phillips and Larry Ogunjobi. So that does make Quinshon Judkins all the more intriguing. And also, by the way, the no Keon Coleman and no Gabe Davis does make me like Khalil Shakir much, much more this week, Brant. Here's a shocking one. Deshaun Watson is out for the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, boy.
This one is really interesting to me, Brant. So TJ Watt obviously is out for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Do you know how much more efficient offenses get against the Steelers when there's no TJ Watt on the field?
Probably a lot.
It's night and day. It's night and day. It's that defense is bad without TJ.
Tua's inactive. Mason Taylor's inactive. Double check the time on that one. Make sure I wasn't reading like 2 weeks ago. Mason Taylor is inactive. Noah Fant's inactive. Njoku's inactive again. I may be saying some of the same names. I know you already did the Bills. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. We got a couple questions coming up. We got Tony ask Aaron Rodgers or JJ. I'm going with Rodgers. I like this matchup. I like the matchups. He actually looked really good last week, getting the ball out. So I actually go with Rodgers here. I'm also not a JJ believer.
I'm going to go JJ, Brand. I'm going to go JJ. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Coming off two top 10 quarterback finishes, it's time to start getting on board. I'm going JJ.
Okay.
Joe says Bucks kicker or 49ers kicker playing against CMC, so leaning towards 49ers to play on Monday and add a point every time CMC scores.
I'm going Niners kickers because that Bucks game, in my mind, this Bucks game goes two different ways. Do we get a divisional matchup where it's just back and forth, punt, low scoring? I know both offenses have looked good when you get the Bucks and Carolina, but when you get two divisional opponents, sometimes you get into that type of game to where it's just kind of a punt defensive brawl because they've got so much tape on them. I'm going to go with the Niners because I do think the same thing. I think that they have a chance to run it up, and lots of that defense is Indy's defense is a bend don't break where they'll give up some yards, but they may not let them get into the end zone. So I think I'm going to go with the Niners kicker there.
I am not. I'm going to go with the kicker. Chase McLaughlin's kind of been really good for the Bucks this year. He's kicker number 5 on the season, whereas for the Niners and Eddie Pinheiro, he's kicker number 15 on the season. I'm going Chase McLaughlin. He's 10 spots better. It is what it is.
Okay. Landon says, feel wrong, but Abuka or Estime?
I'm going Abuka in that one.
Yeah, I'm going to go Abuka just by a little bit in that one.
Jennifer asks, if y'all have time, can you say who you think winning each matchup? Yes, we will do that right now, and we will also name who we have a touchdown score. That's something Brant and I have been doing recently that I like, so let's keep up that trend. Let's start with the Jets at Saints. Brant, who do you think is going to win that one?
Jets and Saints. I'm going to go with the Jets. I think the Jets upset the Saints. Every time the Saints are favorites, they seem to lose, so I'm going to go with the Jets.
Who's scoring a touchdown for you in that one?
Let's go with Jawan Johnson.
All right, for the record, I have the Saints winning that one. And I'm going to say Chris Olave finds the end zone. Buccaneers at Panthers, who wins and who's your touchdown scorer?
Mike Evans is my touchdown scorer. As much as I want Carolina to win, I think the Bucs take it.
I got Buccaneers winning. Mike Evans is my touchdown scorer. Vikings, Giants.
I'm going to go with Vikings. Don't trust it. And I'm going to go with Jones to find the end zone.
I got Vikings winning and Jefferson finding the end zone this week. Chiefs at Titans. We should just skip this one.
It's a 3-point spread this week. It never would have even been that close if the man was still under center, but I go with the Chiefs. And let's go with Kelsey to find the end zone. Maybe
I actually have
scores.
I actually have the Chiefs winning too, but I think Gunnar Helm's going to find the end zone. Chargers, Cowboys.
I got Ladd McConkey to find the end zone, and I've got the Chargers to upset the Cowboys at home.
Yep, I agree. Ladd to score and Chargers to win. Bengals at Dolphins.
I'm going to go Joe Burrow and the Bengals to win, and I'm going with T. Higgins to find the end zone.
I'm going to go with the Bengals to win as well. I'm going Chase Brown. Bills at Browns.
But Bills and Cook to find the end zone.
Okay, I've got Bills as well. Excuse me. And I'm gonna go with Cook's score as well. Falcons, Cardinals.
I got the Falcons to win. I'll never say one of my divisional opponents will win until we get to Monday. And to score, I'm going to go with Bijan. I'm going to go with the easy one.
Yeah, I've got Bijan to score as well. Falcons don't win when they're faded too, so I'm going to take the Cardinals. Jaguars at Broncos.
I'm going with the Jaguars to upset the Broncos.
And I already know your score is ETN.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton to find the end zone and the Broncos to win. Steelers at Lions.
I'm going to go with Lions win and St. Brown finds the end zone.
Really? Over your touchdown scorer that you chose earlier and Gibbs?
Oh, I still think he finds it too, but I am going to say St. Brown does as well.
Okay. Raiders, Texans. We both think the Texans win. Who's your touchdown scorer?
Woody.
I've got Dalton Schultz. Patriots, Ravens.
I'm taking the Ravens at home.
Okay, I'm also taking the Ravens. Who's scoring?
In.
Lamar. I've got Derrick Henry finding the end zone. And you already said you're taking the Niners. I'm also taking the Niners. Who scores in this one?
Well, last week I did a defensive score touchdown. Didn't even come close, so I'm not doing that again. Let's just go with CMC.
All right, I've also got CMC to find the end zone in that contest. So there you go. There you go, Jennifer. Divided on some, united on many. A lot of similar touchdown scores, which is kind of scary.
I feel like I went with a lot of road teams this week. As I sit here and mark them, I only have three home teams winning. Okay, last time I'm asking you guys, Myers or Carter, half-point PPR? Jacoby's been so good.
I am so terrified by that Broncos defense, but they've been susceptible. I'll go Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I think I go Jacoby as well here. I think it's a toss-up between both of them, but I think I lean Jacoby just a little bit, and I really do like Myers or Carter this week, but I think I like Jacoby just a little bit better.
Good. All right, Brent. Who's quarterback one on the week?
Oh, let's go with Joey B. Only because I benched him this week.
I'm going to go Herbert. Who's your running back one of the week?
Cook, I think that's where they lean on.
I'm going Derrick Henry. One last time for old man Derrick Henry. King Henry, one last time on top of the throne. Wide receiver one for you, Brent.
Puka. Let's see. Who's my wide receiver two then? CD Lamb.
Okay. I've got Mike Evans as my wide receiver one. And who do you have for your tight end one?
I don't think I'm going to get cute. I think I'm going to go with McBride.
I'm torn between two names here, so I'm going to go with the one that plays Monday night. I'm going to go Kittle, but I was really tempted to put Harold Phantom Jr. down there, Brent. Really tempted. All right, Johns comes at us with Rico Dowdle or Michael Carter. He says, I don't know why I want to play Carter so bad.
I think you do go Carter. I don't think the split's as good. I don't think the split is as much between Chuba and Rico. I don't think Carter has to split it as much. I think he sees a little more work. So I think I actually go Carter.
Yeah, I'm in agreement here. I go Carter as well. Yep. All right. Listen, I know we're nearing the end of the show here. We got about 5 minutes left. If somebody does get a last-minute question into us, of course, we're going to answer it. But if it doesn't get in with us on this week, or on the live stream, don't hesitate to jump over to the Fantasy Holics Facebook page, on their Twitter sphere, wherever it is that you're following the Fantasy Holics, and ask your start sit questions on the post they have up there. These guys are super knowledgeable. They put their thought behind their questions. So if you ask a question, you're going to get some reasoning behind the reason they go that way. So don't hesitate to jump over there and ask your question if you don't get it in with us this time. Other than that, Brant, that's about all I got on that front. I do know we still have to talk about the menu of the week, but I'll let you go ahead and get your part.
Also, I want to bring it up now, and we'll bring it up again. Next week, we will be coming live from Saturday, as I will be in Carolina for the Seahawks-Carolina game. So we will be doing our start-sit live on Saturday morning. I don't know if we've come up with the time quite yet. Maybe we'll do 11 to 12 Central Time. We will get that posted as soon as we get a chance to actually discuss when the best time is. But yes, we are going to be live Saturday before the Saturday games next week. We don't want to miss out on you guys. So we will be live. Let's see what time those games are. 2 Saturday games, sorry. So 3:30. So yeah, we will discuss the time. We will get it put out. But yeah, we are definitely going to be live on Saturday next week. That way we still have you guys.
Last says I'm really stressing what Lamar what do you think? Stafford already put 40 on him.
That's a tough matchup. I think you got to.
I like Lamar. I do this week. I like Lamar.
I think even if he gets back to his old ways, I still don't think you're going to see a 40-point game out of him. I think maybe 25 is probably his ceiling this week, but I do like Lamar.
I don't think Lamar's ceiling is ever on the high side for 25. I think his ceiling is 50 points, if we're being honest. I don't know if he gets to that. I think his floor is like 20 points this week, but I don't think he's going to hit the 40. But I think to say Lamar's ceiling is 25, I feel like that feels wrong personally. Lamar's been the MVP of the league a couple of different times. To say his ceiling's capped feels wrong, but I don't expect him to go much higher than 25 tonight. But could he? Absolutely. Ryan says, do you know the status in London? Is he for sure to go today? I believe it's a for sure deal. Unless he gets hurt in warmups, I believe he's implanted into the team this week. So
Quentin Johnston is officially active, as well as we talk about that. Yeah, I do believe London is good to go. Obviously, we won't know for sure until about an hour before kickoff. But yeah, I do think he is leaning pretty well towards playing.
Yep. I agree. Okay. I don't think there's anything else crazy that needs updating here, but
yeah, I just was flipping through the injuries too as well. So what's on your menu today? As we got about 3 minutes left.
You kind of already know this, but the people don't. Hang on. Sneeze caught up to me there at the worst possible time. Yesterday, I had to sit for the better part of 5 hours in the bleachers watching cheer competitions for my oldest. My wife did reward my good behavior with going to a restaurant I wanted to try for a while. It's this place that's like loaded fry boxes. We have some leftovers of that. So that's probably going to be on the menu for lunch. And then I'm just going to go as much starch as possible today. We have potato soup on the menu for dinner tonight. So I'll just have, all the starch in the world, all the carbs, all the nastiness today.
There you go. I got a little obligation around lunchtime, so I'll probably pick something on my rush back to come back and watch the second half of most of those games for that 12 o'clock slate. Tonight, I think we're doing a bunch of sliders. I think we're going to do some. My wife found some loaded taco sliders that we're going to try, and then we'll probably do some pizza sliders as well. We're just going to have a whole bunch of sliders over here, just a whole bunch of sandwiches, and due to the fact that I'll be on the road, I may swing into a store and grab some onion rings or French fries to throw in the air fryer to go with them.
There you go. Yeah, you will be on the road. So, but again, guys, I think that does kind of sum it up for us this week. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us. Again, next week we probably will only go for an hour just because it is week 17 and a lot of people will either have their seasons figured out or not by that point. But if we need to go a few minutes later, I'm sure Brant and I both can make that work. So stay tuned for the announcement. I know, Brant, you are traveling to go watch the Panthers and Seahawks game next week. So that's why we're moving to Saturday. But we will try to get with you guys and try to give you as much time as we could potentially spare. Again, it's just going to depend on how long you guys are here and what kind of questions you guys got. But probably planning for an hour at this point, but we'll go longer if we need to.
Yeah, keep an eye on the Fantasy Holics page. You and me will discuss it either today or tomorrow. We'll try to get the first post out with at least the time, because we are planning on, like you said, Saturday, and we'll get the time put out. Maybe we'll get it posted once or twice this week. That way, that reminder's out there for everybody. But yeah, we definitely want to get live. Guys, enjoy your Christmas. Have a great Thursday. We got a decent little slate for Thursday football. Kind of got ruined with certain people getting injured, unfortunately. I mean, so but enjoy your Christmas, enjoy the little bit of football, enjoy your family, and like I said, we'll see you guys back next Saturday. And as always, stay hungry,
stay fat, my friends.